This wasn't part of the plan, but I think I've stumbled upon a new contender for one of my favorite games of all time. Hello everyone, I am Jmulls, and for almost 10 years I have been a big fan of a series called Xenoblade Chronicles. I started with Xenoblade Chronicles X back in the day, and then truly fell in love with the series with its first Switch game, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I would then go on to play every entry in the Xenoblade Chronicles series. However, throughout my tenure with Xenoblade, I'd always been told, I'd always heard about a previous series with the name Xeno in it that Monolith made when they were under a different company. A series they never fully got over, and that you can find its influence throughout Xenoblade Chronicles. The name of this series is called Xenosaga. In fact, the face of that IP, a character by the name of Cosmos, actually appears in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. As a fun little extra character you can recruit. But these games were locked to the PlayStation 2. So I decided, now that we have this bit of a break, almost a 2-year gap until we are likely getting the next mainline entry in Xenoblade Chronicles, I decided to go back and play through the Xenosaga series to get myself up to speed, because it's becoming ever more important and prevalent in the current story and future direction of Xenoblade Chronicles. And as someone who likes to theorycraft for my favorite series, I felt it was in my best interest and just what I wanted to do to fully understand what's going on here. So I got Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3, and I started playing Xenosaga 1 on stream. I had heard it was aged, I had heard that it was a fine game, but that it had its problems, and that the combat wasn't particularly all that good. What I found when I fully started to dive into Xenosaga was something that appealed to me on nearly every level. I found myself caring about the characters, the world going on, the story, the customization, the gameplay, the dialogue, the cinematography, the pacing, the voice acting, the art direction. And despite the fact that I'm only 30 hours in to Xenosaga 1, it is on track to become one of my favorite games of all time. I didn't think it was going to be like this. I thought I would enjoy it well enough and that the story would be cool enough. But the main reason I was playing these games was to pick up on the story so that I could better understand Xenoblade. I didn't think I would start caring about Saga just as much as Blade. That's the thing. I thought there would be tiers to this. I didn't think it would be an even playing field for me. So I talked about how cool it would be from a game preservation perspective to bring back Xenosaga, to give more people the chance to dive into these stories that are foundational for Xenoblade. And I always talked about that if we want to see Xenosaga ever again, I believe it is directly related to the success of Blade, and that if Blade does well enough and sells well enough, then these other companies, like Square Enix that hold the IP for Xenogears, and Bandai Namco that has the IP for Xenosaga, they would look at the success of Blade, realize they have something related to it, and want to cash in on that success. What I didn't expect was that Xenosaga Episode 1, at least, was such a well-constructed game by itself that, in my opinion, largely holds up. And I want to talk about that today. I want to make an argument, at least for Xenosaga 1, an argument that I'm sure to revisit time and time again in the future, to hashtag free Xenosaga, bring it to the modern day, because this game holds up, and it's so dang good. Let's talk about, in my opinion, the most important element of any game ever, the gameplay. Well, how does Xenosaga play? Well, it's broken up into various levels that you go around. There are no random encounters like a lot of old JRPGs used to have. You see mobs in the world, you walk up to them, and you fight them, and they may run at you as well. The actual combat is turn-based, but a rather interesting twist on turn-based, at least compared to the other turn-based games that I have experience in. Every turn, you acquire 4 AP, action points, and you have 2 types of basic attacks. I believe they differ depending on the character, but as a general rule of thumb, you have a physical attack and an ether attack. Using each costs you 2 AP, so each turn, you passively accrue resources to use 2 attacks. However, you can choose to only use 1 and pool AP for the next turn, so that the next turn, you can do 3 attacks, because you have 6 AP, 2 AP per attack. And you can choose to do a physical attack into a physical attack, or an ether attack into an ether attack, or an ether attack into a physical attack into an ether attack. And each character has unique abilities called tech attacks. Think of them like signature abilities that you have to work up to by utilizing your regular base attacks first. Most of the time, you'll be able to utilize them as the third part in the combo, but if you upgrade their speed, well then you can utilize them as part of the second part of the combo. So the algorithm you're going to be running during each of these fights is analyzing what type of enemy am I fighting. Are they weak to physical attacks? Are they weak to ether attacks? Are they flying? Because I'll have to use a ranged attack if they are. Is this enemy low on HP? Because if they are, maybe I can sneak by only attacking them once and pool my AP for a tougher enemy in the group for the next turn. Or maybe I'm fighting someone who is a Giga Chad and he has a lot of HP and I have to be on the lookout for that dude. So I want to make sure I have my strongest attacks available to me, that being the tech attacks, and I have to manage my AP like that. On top of all of that management, which I find mechanically fun and interesting, you have ether attacks. Think of them like magic in a typical fantasy JRPG, but Xenosaga having a sci-fi twist on everything, because, well, it's a sci-fi game. Your ether attacks and abilities can range from buffs and debuffs, heals, or just damage. So like maybe I want to bide my time and buff up Cosmos with an ether ability that she has natively. Maybe I need to utilize healing. What type of healing will I need in this fight? Am I being hit with a lot of AoE damage that's affecting my entire party? Maybe I want to bring in Chaos for this fight. Are the enemies only really attacking me single target in this area? Maybe I should just rely on the healing that MC Shion or Momo can bring to the table because they're single target heals. I can also position my characters on the board. There's a front row and a back row. Certain characters get buffed depending upon where they are in relation to other characters. For instance, Ziggy has an ability that he can utilize to buff himself if Momo is behind him. If Junior is in front of a female character, he gets buffed as well. On top of all of this, they appeal to me directly because remember Xenoblade X with the skull system? Yeah, that system found a lot of its inspiration and its foundational structure from the eggs of Xenosaga. AGWS, pronounced pretty much like eggs. They are giant robots you can equip to your characters that they can go into in combat, and you can also customize them. You can customize their weapons, which changes what abilities you get with them in combat. It's a really cool system, and it's a good oh crap button, especially if a character's about to die, but if they have an eggs, I can just have them go in the giant robot and get a giant new HP bar to work with. And they can also still deal damage, but I lose out on their basic ether abilities, so if I have to do that with my healer, well, I have to hope my other characters don't need that healing or have items to supplement that. There's quite a bit of thinking that goes on in this combat system that directly appeals to me, and while I don't think it's particularly the most well-balanced thing ever of all time, I find myself rather not utilizing ether abilities all that much. The gameplay just feels good. Chaining those combos together, going from physical to a tech attack, choosing do I need to use a physical or an ether attack here, is just something about that flow of gameplay that is really satisfying to me. It also gets me to think and be cognizant of the enemy design that is in Xenosaga, because you start to pick up, oh, this is a regular soldier guy, I should just go for regular physical attacks. Oh look, a giant robot dude, ether attacks all day. Maybe this one actually needs physical. Or maybe I want to use physical attacks, because while they may not be necessarily effective, the tech attack I have equipped at the end of that physical chain, now that one pumps. Bear in mind, I've only talked about the actual in-combat experience. If you are familiar with Monolith, you know there's quite a bit of customization going on here. And this is, to me, another highlight for the game, because there's so much customization that goes on here, so many ways to upgrade and augment your characters. You can equip the buffs that various accessories you equip to the characters. You can equip those buffs natively by spending points to unlock that passive buff. You can level up your ether attacks on like their own little like skill tree to unlock new abilities. You can also transfer ether attacks from one character to another if you so choose to. On top of that, you can augment and customize your tech attacks, choose which combos they come out of, and also upgrade them. Reduce your wait time, increase their speed, so that you don't have to do 2 regular attacks first to use a tech attack. You can upgrade their power. It's a really fun system on top of customizing the eggs in a system that is very reminiscent to the scale customization from Xenoblade X. And the game rewards and incentivizes you to mix and match and play with different characters, because characters on your bench also acquire passive XP in combat. I think, according to my chat, it's like a 75% type of deal if they're on the bench as opposed to being in the main party, but it keeps everyone decently leveled because each character has their own pros and cons. So you may feel incentivized to swap your characters out if you come across a wall and a particularly dangerous boss. Maybe this character is just not a good fit for this fight, you want to swap them out for someone else. Hey, this boss is doing a lot of AoE damage, I kind of want Chaos in here because he has an AoE heal. Oh hey, I managed to find a new ability for Momo that turns into an actual magical girl, and unlock a new ability for her to steal items from enemies. Maybe I want to utilize that on this boss fight and see what I get. The game's just fun, dude. Like, truly, it is genuinely fun. And even when I come across dungeons that are quite long, and it's not like it's a perfect game or anything, right? Some dungeons can run quite a long time. The combat itself was so fun to me that I didn't really mind. Gave me an opportunity to play with different characters, to keep everyone about the same level, to dive into the customization in this game and to start to actually understand it. Because it is Monolith, they don't do a great job at giving you tutorials. Holds true in Xenoblade, and really holds true back in Xenosaga. On top of all of that, the story is really well paced. I quite like the characters, though the plot itself is super interesting. Though it can be rather dense at times, there's a lot of characters here and it can be quite a bit to keep track of. I actually have a Google Doc where I'm listing all the information I'm accruing just to keep it all sorted for me. But I'm only doing that because I'm so interested. The cutscenes are so well done. A lot of the times when it comes to games, especially JRPGs, people can say and make the argument that it feels like you're playing an episode of an anime. That is especially true here in Xenosaga. There are really long cutscenes. I don't mind that, some people will, understandably so. And I mean really, really long cutscenes. Like, to the point they give you save screens in the middle of the cutscenes. But I think they're really well shot, they're well paced. For the most part, well voice acted, though it does have that early 2000s charm. And I think it helps with the immersion because the actual cutscenes that go on here don't look too dissimilar to the actual gameplay and the art style there. And there are a few scenes where it feels as if the characters are just standing around and talking with blank expressions. Their frequent use of cutscenes really alleviates that feeling, and to me at least, feels as if the plot and the pace is constantly going, but it's not too fast. This is a slow-paced game, do not get me wrong. However, for a trilogy of games, I think it's extremely needed to make me care about the world and the characters. The game gets really emotional, but also is not afraid to just have fun with itself. But to me at least, it never feels as if the game is just dragging its feet either. Outside of like the first couple of hours, which can feel really slow, if you can get past that point, the game just really flows from there. And it's a game that I think a lot of people would genuinely enjoy in the modern day. It would just need a few changes and a few tweaks here and there just to smooth things up and modernize it, but not in a weird way, but in like a genuinely good way. I think the minimap in this game is absolutely garbage. Just give me a regular minimap instead of this weird radar thing. I would have a singular menu in the main menu for all your upgrades to consolidate them there so you're not messing around with all the different menus. I would retool the UI, especially in combat, to be a bit more visually clear in what it's trying to convey to the player. Like maybe give a quest log as well. I don't think too much of this game fundamentally needs to change. Just tweaks and tinkering things here and there to make it a bit more clear and compact. I would also like to see music added to the background here, but you can make the argument that it's an artistic choice not to have music for a lot of the background segments when you're just walking around places. I hear it's because they wanted to really drive home the emptiness of space. It can make dungeons feel really quiet though, so like maybe add background music and just have it as a toggle, so you can disable it and have the silence if you want that. But like when it concerns Xenosaga, I don't think it needs a full-blown remake or anything, because the base experience is so fun to me and interesting. A remaster could go a long way to address those few issues that I just talked about. But like, I think Xenosaga, especially episode 1, because I can only speak for episode 1, I think Xenosaga, episode 1, gets the important things right. The story is interesting, I believe it's well-paced, I'm fully invested in it, and I genuinely enjoy the gameplay, and it's fun. The mini-games can be a little bit frustrating, but they're not needed, but they're nice to have. Believe. Believe. Do you believe? God, I'm a gaming god! Ooh! Oh, I might be filthy with it! Is it East versus West? Oh man, it's man! 26 seconds in a dream, come on! Hit the square button! Come on, 18! Boys! The future awaits! Now I gotta get back home! Bring it home! Come on! Let's go! Why did it take 2 days? Oh! There's a future! There's a full-blown card game in this game, by the way. Again, you don't have to interact with it, but like, there is a card game here that also has multiplayer. It's kind of similar in style to Yu-Gi-Oh! Not exactly, but like similar. It's like, I don't think Xenosaga is a perfect game at anything like that, but like I talked about, it gets right what it needs to get right. Are there a few like lingering concerns in my tongue? Yeah, sure, like ethers don't feel particularly too useful all the time, but they're not meant to be used all the time because you're limited in how many of them you can actually utilize. But the flow of combat itself is really fun, and it's a game that I find myself being lost in and just wanting to play more of. I think Xenosaga deserves a remaster not just because it's connected to Xenoblade, not just for a game preservation argument, but because the game itself, really dang good. And if you give it a bit of love here and there, I think that would go a long, long, long way. So to me, hashtag free Xenosaga. Thank you all for tuning in, my pleasure making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment down below with if you would be interested in trying out Xenosaga if they ever brought it back. And if you have played Xenosaga in the past, I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye everybody, until we meet again.